Hello, my name is Eric, and today I'm going to be giving an honest review of the Good Morning Snore Solution product. It's supposed to help you stop snoring. And you're probably watching this video because, like me, you've scoured the internet trying to find any kind of honest review of this product, and have come up essentially empty-handed because pretty much everything, they have some kind of ridiculously good online campaign going right now, because pretty much every website you go to is some kind of advertisement, and I don't think that's very good for consumers trying to make a decision about whether they want to buy this product. So I wanted to give an honest review. And my intention is to give the review over multiple days, to give my actual experience, and I think that'll help folks make a decision as to whether to buy it. So this is the device right here. Your tongue goes in this little knob thing here, and then the rest goes in between your gums and your lips. And the material, it's like rubbery plastic, and I have a daughter. She's 5 years old, but when she was a baby, she drank out of a bottle, and that's the nipple of bottles. That's essentially the same kind of material as this right here. So it's nice and soft. The reason I'm going through this is because over the past few years, I've been overweight for quite a while, but over the past few years, I've been snoring so loud that it wakes up my wife, and she actually kicks me in the middle of the night to try to get me to change positions, because if I change positions, sometimes I'll stop snoring and it'll allow her to go back to sleep. But just a couple weeks ago, she woke me up by hitting me over the head with her pillow because I just would not stop snoring. And so I made that decision. It was kind of a wake-up call. You need to do something about your snoring. In my specific case, I think the snoring is the best snoring solution for me. Probably would be one of those jaw displacement devices. I don't know what they're called specifically, but those are essentially mouthpieces that hold your jaw forward. And I think that the reason I know that is because if I just lay back and relax my tongue and my jaw, I get much better airflow if I push my jaw forward. But I'm a little afraid to actually try one of those because I've seen some reviews that hurt your gums, and maybe your teeth get a little loose, and I really don't want to go through that if I can help it. So I'm going to give this thing a try, and if it works, great. If it doesn't work, then I'm probably going to have to go to the next step with the mouthpiece. So, following this video, this segment will be the day one review. Thank you for watching. Hello, this is day one, or the day after night one, of using the Good Morning Snore Solution device. And I can tell you that I'm about ready to go ahead and return this thing to the manufacturer for the full refund. But I am going to give it a little bit more time. The issue when I first laid down with it was that it was uncomfortable on my tongue. The tongue sticks between your teeth, and my jaw tends to close a little bit. So, in addition to the tongue being squeezed into this little knob here, I was also biting down a little bit on my tongue. That's a little bit uncomfortable. Also, there was the edges here. They touch the gums, and so there's a little bit of irritation there. But I think that's not so bad that I can't get past that within the first few nights. And I don't see that as a major showstopper. But what was a major showstopper for me last night was the saliva. I'm not the kind of person that can drool all night. If there's any amount of saliva coming out between my lips, I have to wake up, I have to wipe it, and I just cannot wake up with a wet pillow. I can't deal with the saliva. It will keep me awake all night, just kind of like it did last night. After 2 or 3 hours of wearing this thing, the saliva started to freak me out, and I just couldn't deal with it anymore, so I took the thing out, rinsed it off, and left it out by the sink for the rest of the night. Now, according to their documentation, excess saliva is one of the side effects that they expect, and they also say that it goes away within a few nights. So in order to give this device a fair shot, I have decided I will continue to wear it for at least a few more nights to see if the amount of saliva goes down. And if it does, I think this device actually could end up working pretty well, because I think that it actually did help with my snoring last night a little bit. It's not going to eliminate snoring. They never claim that it will eliminate it, but I think it did reduce it to a point where my wife's not going to be kicking me in the middle of the night, and that's really the whole point. So again, I'm going to be giving this a try for at least the next few more nights to see if the amount of saliva goes down, and stay tuned for the review after day 2. Thank you. One thing that I forgot to mention when I made the video this morning was that I woke up in the morning with some nose congestion, and it kind of worries me because if you look at this device, the way this device works and pretty much every other anti-snoring device works, you can really only breathe through your nose. And nose congestion is going to cause a real problem. So I went to the store today and I got some nose strips to hopefully keep my nose passages open so I can breathe better. We'll see how that works tonight. The other thing I wanted to mention, I probably should have mentioned this in the first day video, was that first there's the 30-day money-back guarantee where you, if you're not happy within the first 30 days of purchasing this thing, you can return it for a full refund. Well, that's not entirely true because you have to pay the shipping and handling to send it back to them, but at least you get most of your money back. And then the other thing is, looking at the documentation, it says that this thing will only last 1 to 2 years, which is actually a little bit disappointing to me because I'm 35 and I'm going to be probably snoring for the rest of my life. So does that mean I have to stock up on like 30 of these things in order to, make sure that if it works, make sure that I don't keep my wife up for the rest of my life? That's a little disappointing. Hopefully this thing lasts longer than those claims. Well, anyways, stay tuned for day number 2 review. Well, it's the day after night number 2, and I have some good news and bad news to report. The good news is I was able to keep the mouthpiece in all night last night, and my tongue is a little bit more sore than yesterday as a result, but again, it's not a showstopper. The other good news is my wife reports not hearing me snore at all last night, which is unusual. She hears me snore pretty much every night. So on the snoring side of things, it seems to be going well. Now the downside is that I still had a saliva problem. I laid down a nice soft towel on my pillow, hoping to try to combat any saliva issues, but I still woke up at least a half a dozen times dealing with saliva leaking around the mouthpiece. And again, that's not something that I can really, I can't get used to that, I don't think. I woke up this morning. I felt like it was just disgusting. I had to wash my face, right away. So again, I'm really hoping that the saliva situation works itself out after a few more days. I also used the breathing strips, the ones that go over the bridge of your nose, to help you breathe better, and I felt like I was breathing really well last night. I know that one of the issues with snoring and sleep apnea is just a feeling of not being able to breathe well, and last night I didn't have that issue at all. And so I think I had a pretty good night of sleep last night aside from the saliva issues, and I'm just going to keep going with this and stay tuned for the report after night number 3. It's the day after night 3, and last night was a pretty terrible night of sleep. I woke up at least 15 times with the saliva problem, and I'm pretty tired this morning, so again, I'm hoping it gets better because last night was not fun at all. My tongue is also a little bit more sore than it was the previous 2 nights, I guess because just the repeat use is causing a little bit more soreness. So again, I hope that also improves. Night number 4 was pretty abysmal. I spent about an hour and a half laying there with the mouthpiece in, trying to get to sleep, dealing with the saliva issues, they continue, and dealing with some new discomfort, which I'll get into in a minute. And then I took out the mouthpiece, hoping to get to sleep again. But I laid there for another 45 minutes because I was worried I was going to wake up my wife with snoring. So not a very good night. Now the discomfort is there's a couple things that are happening. This discomfort has existed already for all the nights, but it was more intense last night, and that's part of what kept me up. These edges right here, they lay against the gums, but they also touch the connective tissue between the lips and the gums. And they're called the frenula, I believe. And it was irritating those to where it was keeping me awake. The other part is, I think I messed up in night number 2, where I've stuck my tongue far into this little knob, and that's more than is necessary to keep the tongue forward. But there was too much suction there, and it caused my tongue to get a little raw. Now, when I say raw, the best way to describe it is if you were to burn your tongue with hot coffee. It's not the burning feeling, but afterward your tongue feels a little raw. That's the same kind of feeling. And right now it's more intense because of the last few nights of using this thing. So I think in order to continue this test, I'm going to have to take a few nights off, not use the mouthpiece, and hope that my tongue heals a little bit, and I'll get back into it. I'm still concerned that the saliva issue is just never going to go away. Hopefully I'm wrong, but hopefully by just taking this rest, I'll be able to at least reduce the amount of discomfort that I have to deal with, so I'm not laying there in bed for 90 minutes hoping to go to sleep. We'll call last night number 5, and I don't think I slept so well. I put the mouthpiece in after I had started to nod off, and then at that point I felt like I was laying there awake for at least another half an hour, just getting used to the mouthpiece. And then I know I woke up at least 1 or 2 times drooling, and took care of that. I had a couple of times I woke up because of tongue position. I don't really remember that so well. And I think I may have woken up my wife snoring. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to ask her. But I feel pretty tired today. I've developed a new symptom. I have soreness in my jaw right here. That's not something I've had before in any of the previous nights. And my lip split continues to be an issue. But that's it for night number 5. Night number 6 was about the same as night number 5, so I'm kind of wondering if maybe I'm in more of a stable kind of situation right now. It's moderately restful sleep with interruptions for saliva issues, and I'm not sure that's really something that I want to kind of deal with long term, so I'm going to keep trying it out for the next week, and if I actually am in a stable situation, this is worse sleep than what I got before, so it's probably not going to be the solution for me. Night number 7 was a surprisingly decent night of sleep. I still had the saliva problem, which woke me up several times last night, but a couple times when I woke up, I felt like I had this nice, long, and deep sleep, and this morning I feel pretty well rested, so hopefully that is a positive indication that it's going to start getting better. I really don't think the saliva issue is ever going to go away at this point, and I might just have to deal with it. But it was a good night of sleep, and that's really what I've been looking for anyways. So I hope that continues. I still have a couple more days left of this trial before I have to make a decision. But again, if this is any indication, maybe this will work out. Night number 8 went pretty well, I think. I know I woke up at least a few times with the saliva issue, and I know I woke up at least once with my tongue falling out of the little suction thing at the end of the device. But aside from that, I don't really remember waking up at all. Maybe changing positions a little bit, but that's the same as it was before. The saliva thing still concerns me. I don't like that feeling at all, but maybe it's starting to get a little better. Maybe I'm getting more used to it. The discomfort, the pain, the tongue pain, that's pretty much all gone. It doesn't bother me at all. Last night I was able to fall asleep pretty quickly, so that's not really a concern anymore. But I still have a couple more nights to make a final decision, so we'll see how that goes. There's no major difference between night 8 and night 9, so I think I've gotten into somewhat of a pattern. So tonight it will be my last evaluation night, and I'll make a decision tomorrow. Last night was night number 10 of my test of the Good Morning Sleep Solution device, and I'm running up close to the deadline for the 30-day money-back guarantee, so I'm going to need to make my ultimate decision today. And this decision has really come down to the wire, because last night, falling asleep, I had no clue what I was going to decide today. Same thing this morning, kind of no clue. But after talking with my wife, she's said that I have not been snoring, I've not been keeping her awake, and that means the device is working. And so even though I've gone through quite a bit of discomfort, I've decided I am ultimately going to keep the device and continue to use it at least as long as I can stand the discomforts. So what kind of discomfort am I talking about? Well, the first couple nights I had this mild amount of panic because I had worries that I wasn't breathing well. The device restricts you from breathing through your mouth, so I was worried that I wasn't getting enough air through my nose. I went to the store, I bought some of these breathing strips that go over the bridge of your nose, and that has worked pretty well. I have not had that feeling of panic anymore. The second area of discomfort was the tongue. And the second night, I stuck my tongue too far into the little pocket, and that caused quite a bit of pain for the third and fourth nights, to the point where I think it was 4 nights off from using the device just to let my tongue heal. And my tongue did heal, and since then I've been using the device properly, sticking my tongue into the pocket just enough to where there's enough suction to keep it held in place. And so I have not had much pain, and I've been able to fall asleep pretty easily. My primary area of discomfort is the saliva. And if you're like me and the thought of saliva leaking out of your mouth in the middle of the night disgusts you and keeps you awake, well, you might have some issues with this device. The instructions say that the amount of saliva is supposed to go down after the first few days, and I did not find that to be the case. I'm drooling just as much as ever, and it keeps me awake. And it's disrupting my sleep cycles to the point where I don't feel like I'm getting fully restful night of sleep. However, because I am snoring less, I would estimate that my sleep is about on par with what it was beforehand, but now I just have this drooling problem instead of a snoring problem. Despite the saliva issue, I'm personally decided to go ahead and just push through it. What it means to me is that I really don't see this as a long-term solution. I think really ultimately I'm just going to have to get to the root of the problem, which is me being overweight, and fix that. And then that means that really this device will be working for me just as long as it takes for me to just stop snoring naturally. So one other thing to note is that there's some additional cost that I'm going to be incurring for this. I'm going to be buying those nasal strips so that I can breathe well, and you have to buy those cleaning tabs that soak with the device for 10 minutes a day. And that's probably a cost of between $15 and $20 every month. So that's an additional cost on top of the device itself. Well, I hope my review has been helpful and informative. I've tried to give you my experiences to try to give you an idea of what you might expect. If you have any additional questions that I have not answered in this review, please just leave a comment below and I will try to get back to you. Good luck.